They are warning you, and unfortunately, most people will not pay attention until it's too late. If you think the wealth gap is massive since 1971 to current time, mark my word, by 2023, there's going to be a massive, massive wealth gap. In today's video, I'm going to break down even deeper how Ray Dalio is warning you and how billionaires are stacking gold and Bitcoin. The central banks are stacking gold based on Basel III. They're not doing this by chance. They're doing this strategically. Remember, 10% of the population owns about 80% of the market. The public right now is just trying to survive to pay their debt. Remember, someone's debt is another man's assets. There's no real money in the system. Cash is trash. Cash flow is king. And on my channel, I'm going to share with you exactly how I've transitioned my cash into deflationary fixed supply assets that now some of the largest asset managers and billionaires all over the world are transitioning into. How I've taken those deflationary assets. When I profit from them, I learn to protect them, and we learn to responsibly leverage. Everybody uses leverage, especially in America. That's why credit cards are at $1 trillion and people are struggling to pay their bills. Working class and the working poor use credit to take away from their future selves. Wealthy people use leverage and credit to become wealthier. So it's very important in this moment in time to get yourself on the right side of history. Last night, we had a ceasefire, peace deal. We wake up this morning, they didn't follow the ceasefire. It's all distractions, keeping you distracted from taking sovereignty of your mind, sovereignty of your soul, and really understanding that it's you against you. When you wake up tomorrow, what did you do the last 24 hours? What did you do under the Biden administration? What are you going to do under the Trump administration? We became wealthy under Biden. It was much more difficult. And we're becoming wealthier much easier under Trump. And I believe on the back end of this year, it's going to get wild. But remember, mark this down and write this down. What goes up must come down. Everything in nature has a wave of energy. Nothing goes forever. So we may go into the golden era, but I promise you, when they lower interest rates and they print more money than in history, it's going to cause inflation. And you want to make sure you're on the right side of the debt quadrant, the cash flow quadrant on the right side. So let's dive right in. On the back end of every video, I share with you exactly what I am doing. So these are going to be longer videos here. I highly recommend you get a pen and paper out. We're here to learn. We're here to educate ourselves. This is posted by Coin Bureau. This is Ray Dalio, and he is talking about if we do not cut the U.S. deficit by 3% of GDP soon, we're heading into a debt-induced economic heart attack. So we're going to listen to this. Then we're going to listen to Ray Dalio at the IMF explaining how America, where we're at in our situation right now. And if you start to understand this stuff, you'll see why I convert my cash into deflationary assets like Bitcoin and XRP, and why I use insurance with increasing death benefits to beat the inflationary dollar, and why I use leverage to buy more assets to free my family financially through cash flow.
You just had the CBO come out with a new assessment of how much it would add to the deficit. The current deficit right now is $2 trillion. That's the difference between how much money in tax revenues is coming in and how much money the country is spending to run itself. The CBO now says that dynamic, meaning you take into account what Republicans are trying to say, that there will be growth and their tariffs money will be coming in, and that will certainly help the situation. They say it would grow to $2.8 trillion as far as the deficit is concerned. Can we afford this bill?
No, and I want to explain why we're also at an inflection point, a very, very dangerous inflection point. That's why in the book I explain it, but I just want to explain it in a nutshell. The credit system is like the circulatory system, and it brings buying power to the whole economy. And that is great. It produces debt, but if the debt is invested that produces income, that it services the debt, it's a very healthy environment.
Right. Did you hear what he just said? Did you just catch that? If the debt is used to invest to produce income, it's a healthy environment. He just gave you the hint to the wealthy. He gave you the hint of exactly what we're doing. You got to listen to what he's saying.
But what happens is
Listen.
that there's this accumulation of debt and debt service payments. Right now, for example, for the government, we are operating with a $7 trillion spending and a $5 trillion intake each year. Okay, we're spending 40% more than we're taking in, and this is a chronic problem. So what you're seeing is the debt service payments beginning to squeeze away, not beginning, well into squeezing away. So it's like plaque in the arteries, squeezing away buying power. And as you can do the numbers, you will see that you can have an economic heart attack as a result of that, that we're going to very soon get to the position that you need debt to pay the debt. Think about it this way.
That's crazy.
Okay,
Ray.
think about the fact that there's $1 trillion in interest, $9 trillion of debt that's coming due. So you have to sell that again. That's $10 trillion. Plus,
that's the bond market, guys. Okay. Do you see what he said? We need debt to create more debt, to sell you debt, which is the bonds that are on the bottom of the risk pyramid. The most bottom of the risk pyramid. It's supposed to be the safest. Okay, so that's why, which I'm going to show you the last video, Howard Lutnick. I'm going to connect this all together for you. Let's use logic. That's why Howard Lutnick is now the Commerce Secretary. That's why they're all bullish on Bitcoin. Okay, that's why they're creating a sovereign wealth fund. That's why they're putting Bitcoin on the treasury, because it can shrink the balance sheet in half by 2025. They're not doing this. Guys, if they don't do this, they lose all their investments. Remember, 10% of the population owns 80% of the market. They're going to do what it takes to save their wealth. Okay. Trump is a real estate guy. He's a massive crypto guy now. Okay. Now remember, he's what is he? 78, 79, I think. This is passing down to his kids pretty soon. So his kids are running the show, man. They are crypto. Okay, so now this is going to be a longer video. I may not play the whole video, but this is really important to get ingrained in your mind so you don't get fudded in, you don't get fudded out. These big drops in crypto are blessings.
Wisdom.
I learned through my experience that many important things that came at me never happened in my life before, but happened many times in history. I was clerking on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange in 1971, and August 15th, 1971, Richard Nixon gets Sunday night, he gets on and he says, essentially, you're not going to get the money that we owe you. Money was gold. You're not going to get the gold. You can keep the paper money and so on. And I walked on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange and I thought, wow, this is a big crisis. And so I'm there early. And the stock market went up a lot, most in many years, decades actually. And I said, wow, that surprised me. And I studied history. I was never through a devaluation before. And so I found out that the exact same thing happened on March 15th, I think, or March 5th, maybe, 1933, when Roosevelt did the same thing on the radio. And then I understand the mechanics. I started to understand liquidity and the nature of that beast. And so there were three things that were coming at me, coming at us, that haven't happened in my lifetime before, that prompted me to reflect more deeply. Those three things are particularly what is happening with debt and money and the credit situation, and the magnitudes and so on. Really, particularly 2020, the coordination of fiscal monetary policy in those orders of magnitude and the like. What's going on now with money, debt, and credit has never happened in our lifetimes before, and it's huge. And
Okay, I'll leave you right there. What's happening right now has never happened in our lifetime. It's massive, guys. Massive. That's why the billionaires are like, peace out. Good luck. That's why Trump wants a weaker dollar. Again, that's why they're creating a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Okay, I know we want to be stuck in that old mindset. You want to listen to your grandparents and your parents and your financial advisor that is not educating themselves on that. They're just parroting information. And when someone says to me, oh, you're incorrect, I said, why do you believe what you believe? And they're like, well, just because this. And I said, I believe what I believe because I did this from 2020. My Bitcoin went up 195%. I'm sorry, as of today, 167%. and where's my XRP? I don't have it up on my chart right now. My XRP went up to 600% when Trump got elected, and about 460% as the market sits right now. And your US dollar went down in value 19% cumulative inflation. So, and then I transmuted some of that into cash generating businesses. So as everybody went down 19% in their buying power, I went up massively in my assets. I took some of the assets and I leveraged and I bought cash generating assets. And now I have cash generating assets going back into deflationary assets. And that's going to repeat again on the back end this year. And I'm going to repeat that process again. That's how you become wealthy. Okay. So Black Swan Capitalist posted this. So I want you to pay attention to what's happening with gold. Okay. Basel III is changing everything. Central banks are quietly stacking gold. Costco cannot keep gold in stock. Guys, pay attention.
We have a tremendous paradigm shift that's going on, where money is not coming into the United States, where the long bond is not a flight to quality asset. Gold suddenly is the flight to quality asset. People, I think Costco is selling gold retail and they can't keep it in stock, you know, and gold has gone from, it was living at $1,800 an ounce not very long ago, and once it broke above 2,000, it was just straight up, and now it's basically a third of 10,000. 3,333 and 33 cents it was actually when I looked at it yesterday. So it's I think gold is a real asset class. It's no longer for lunatic survivalists and wild speculators. It's viewed as an asset class, and central banks have been accumulating gold. Gold was stuck in the mud because for a decade or more, central banks were selling it down. They've bought it all back.
Yep. Yup. As Ray Dalio said, we're in a position we've never been in before. Guys, it tipped. China's at 300% debt income ratio. We're heading towards 130% debt income ratio. The public has $1 trillion in credit card debt. We're literally hanging on. Please lower interest rates. Please. We don't want to operate like that, guys. They get us through taxation or inflation, which is illegal taxation. You got to get on the right side of this debt quadrant, guys. You got to flip your brain on this. Okay, just flip it, invert it. So I posted this a long time ago, but billionaire Ray Dalio encourages investors to embrace Bitcoin over debt assets. Okay, that's like the traditional system is dying. Okay, we got who was against Bitcoin? Grant Cardone. Cardone Capital is going all in on Bitcoin. Okay. You have just in 5G LOT chip maker Swan unveils 384 million Bitcoin treasury. There's so many companies now launching Bitcoin treasuries. This is important right here. This is what we've been saying in our academy too. We are all about RWA. Stay out of the meme coin casino. Stay out of the assets. I mean, things that you don't know that have a real world solve. Be very, very careful. This is not the wild west anymore. This is RWA season, guys, and he says it perfectly here. It says latest former Binance CEO CZ says not all tokens will reach new all-time highs. Warning, only the strongest projects are likely to survive and thrive long term. Remember, by definition, everything before the next all-time high is a dip. The obvious question is, will there be a next all-time high? Only a small number of strong coins will do that. Look for the that's what he says. Look for long-term staying power and growth potential. Okay. That's why I'm okay with my 50% return every year on Bitcoin and my exponential return on XRP here in the future. And I'm willing to wait 6 years, guys. Okay. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. Cointelegraph posted this yesterday, but this is an old video with Anthony Pompliano. And this is the Commerce Secretary that's the right-hand man to Trump. Check this out.
If you took my stake in my public companies, which is public, and you did the public math, you'd see a couple of $1 billion.
Okay.
And then at least a couple of $1 billion. And then you'd have, what's Cantor worth? Yeah, I'm not saying. Okay. But things are good for
Remember, Cantor just linked up with SoftBank to compete with Strategy B, which is purely a Bitcoin crypto company.
me. How about that? Is that a nice way to say it? Since Cantor owns the stakes in the other companies, it's good for me. So, and I have
like the percentage. You don't have to say exact number, but like, how do you think about either you or Cantor. And
I don't have a big enough percentage. I probably have, if no, I can't say because then people can figure out that no, how much I have. I would say I have hundreds of millions of dollars.
okay.
Okay, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin, and it will be billions.
I'll
just leave it at that, guys. I mean, I just want to help, man. I just want people to digest this. And I know it can be very, very disheartening if we're like trying to rewire our brain, but that's exactly what we have to do. Okay. This is Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. So I'm going to talk about a couple things. If you're new to my channel, I go through exactly what I'm doing every single time. Let me first show my formula here. Okay. So this is my personal formula that I created. Okay. This is my financial ecosystem. Okay. So my financial ecosystem, I focus on cash flow. Let me make it bigger here for you guys. Okay. So I focus on cash flow first through personal income. I have businesses. Okay. I created businesses. You may have a job. You have cash coming in, right? I live very well below my means. I make sure that I invest most of my income. Okay. I made sure went down to debts and non-negotiables. I live a very simple lifestyle, right? I will increase my lifestyle. We're getting there probably next 24 or 36 months. We'll start to get some lifestyle changes, but not until assets can pay for that lifestyle change. And I'm okay living a simple life. Okay. But I also have cash generating dividends and ETFs that pay me a really beautiful amount every single month. I'm always making my money make money. So I get paid and I create cash flow. With my cash flow and my cash, I put it into deflationary investments. I use things like Bitcoin and XRP. I absolutely love them. I hold things like HBAR, VChain, XLM, ADA, Solana. Don't want to miss any of my top ones there. I talk Bitcoin, XRP. I'm RWA. Okay. I'm also diversified too. When these profit, Bitcoin, I'm not selling, which I'll explain in just a moment. I'm not selling. Yes, some of my XRP I will sell, and people argue with me about that, but I'm all about de-risking and diversification. So with my appreciation, okay, I move it into protection, life insurance. Okay, this is what I did last bull run. I put money into my cash value life insurance. So I have my cash flow ETFs. I de-risk from ETFs because these are higher risk ETFs. I de-risk into deflationary assets, Bitcoin and XRP. When I profit from these, when I profit heavily on the back end of this year, I'll be stuffing money into my cash value life insurance, which creates leverage. Okay. I have my crypto assets I can leverage, hence Bitcoin, in the future XRP. Okay. And my other assets. And I have insurance. So then what do? We take leverage. The example I gave is I borrowed from my Bitcoin at 14% from Strike, or not Strike. Sorry, Strike's at 9% now. It's stuck in my head. Jack Muller. From, oh my God, Salt at 14%. I bought an insurance firm. My insurance firm has cash flow. So the only reason I did leverage is because I knew I had the cash flow within the first year to pay it off. Okay. So I'm paying back 14% as my Bitcoin grows 50% on average every year. So I made 36% of my money. I didn't go to Wells Fargo Bank and borrow. I borrowed from my own asset. I'm paying back the company 14% for allowing me to get the cash flow tax-free, bought a cash generating asset. Someone's like, well, what if Bitcoin collapses, goes to zero? Like this certain people say. And I'm like, okay, if it goes to zero in 10 years, during that time, I'll probably have bought 6 or 7 cash generating businesses or a bunch of cash generating assets, or I've either borrowed to beat the hurdle rate to max fund policies. So along the way, I'm not just sitting there holding on to crypto like, please make me rich. Richest Man in Babylon, read the book. Okay. King Solomon, the wisdom of King Solomon. We want to keep the ecosystem moving. Okay. Cash flow, boom. Deflationary assets. You could use gold. You could use silver. You don't have to do what I'm doing. I'm just sharing with you what I do. Okay. Protection. My wealth is protected. Okay. People can't touch this part of it. They can come after all of this. They can't touch the protection part. Okay. And I got my crypto and my insurance. Now I have leverage. So eventually, within the next 6 years, my family's going to be in this whole bubble here. Okay. Everybody, now it's bleeding down to my children. My daughter's set up the same way. She's doing the same thing I am. Okay. My son already has his insurance policy. He's building his wealth at 9 years old. And then we just repeat the process. And how do I exit? Okay. This is our company. This is our demo account for Merlin. So I have all my exchanges in one place. Okay. We don't hold your crypto. It's all just an interface. So I have everything clean here. I can see everything at one snapshot. I don't stress over the markets. Boom. All my exchanges are here. And all of my cryptos, besides Bitcoin, this is a dummy account, have exit strategies. Okay. So then I exit, boom, tells me exactly how much to exit. We send you an alert. You go exit calmly as everybody's panicking, trying to catch the top. We've exited multiple times, and then we come back and we feed the monster. I will. So when I exit, boom, I'll max fund the policies. I'll put more into my cash generating dividends that are high. They're pretty high risk. So I de-risk every single month. I'll buy more deflationary assets. I'm praying and hoping that the market has another big bear market. I want a bear market. And if you are trying to build true generational wealth, you want the bear market. You want another deep bear market in 2026, 2027, 2028. I don't want a super cycle. I want a bear market. I want to be able to accumulate as much as I can by 2030 when they make this big transition. And that's the new system. Okay. You got to think about it, man. The Trump is, I think he's 79, right? I mean, this is passing down to his kids. They want low interest rates. They're in real estate. They are a crypto family. Howard Lutnick, I just showed you, his right-hand person, is going to be a billionaire on the back end of this year in crypto. He owns Cantor. His son runs Cantor, which is connected to SoftBank, which is fully a crypto bank that allows, I think it gives crypto loans to companies. Got Michael Saylor, Strategy B. BlackRock is the largest holder in Bitcoin and is the third largest holder in Strategy B. Okay. Cardone Capital is now getting into the Bitcoin. Robert Kiyosaki, Ray Dalio, Kathy Woods. Remember, the elites go after assets. They're all moving into gold and deflationary assets because they know the system is effed, guys. The system is screwed. And guess who ends up holding the bag? You, your family. You're all distracted by the war. You're distracted over here. We're over here. P. Diddy, J-Lo. Although I don't know why I brought up J-Lo, but Beyonce, and it's like this. I mean, it's Epstein, the war, this, and then you're gonna wake up and it's like, oh shit, I missed it. Oh my God. And then all the dust is gonna settle. This is all gonna be a distant memory, and it's gonna repeat itself over and over again. It's nothing new under the sun. Ray Dalio proves it from a financial sense. It's in the Bible. He was flipping over the money changers. It's just, what are you going to wake up to this time? It's all within us. It's all you. It's your decisions, your behaviors, your actions. So what did you do the last 24 hours? Did you exercise? Did you meditate? Did you pray? Did you overspend? Did you underspend? Did you invest? Did you dollar cost average? Every day I'm buying crypto. Every single day I dollar cost average in. Every week when I get paid for my cash generating dividends in my businesses, I buy more. I buy more. And then every month I do an evaluation and I de-risk and I protect some of my money because I know I'm not going to win every single time. And lastly, I don't play games with my money and my family's money. I don't play in the meme coin casinos. I think it's ridiculous. I do not play games with my family's wealth and my money. I do not buy things I can't afford to impress people I don't like. And when I want something, I hold until an asset will pay for it. I'm disciplined. I'm consistent. And that's how wealth is built. It's patient. It's calm. It's stoic. And it gains wisdom through application and failure. Enough times till you access a new paradigm. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. If you need any support at all, in the description of this video or my social media platform, click the link. You can set up a live call with my team to learn my whole ecosystem. You can also set up an insurance appointment with my team, a free consultation to learn how we use cash value life insurance, how we structure them properly, how we fund them properly, and how we leverage from them properly. It's very important that you're not driving a Lamborghini with regular gas in it, okay? Make sure you work with people who understand how to set these up properly to make sure you can prosper with your family. I love you guys. I appreciate you. As we always say, warriors, let's get your shit together. Love you guys. God bless.